Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on when this video gets posted. My name is Pastor Andrew. I work as the pastoral intern here, and I would like to bring your guys' devotion time today. And so I kind of struggled a little bit in terms of what I wanted to talk about, but then I was reminded of a story. And the reason why the story kind of came back to me is, as I'm looking at the world today, it's just hard to not be frustrated and sad and confused and whatever. And it's hard to sometimes to see God's work at hand, God's mighty hand at work. And, so I started thinking what does that look like for us? How does that work? And so I was kind of reminded of a story that I heard whenever I was in undergrad at Slippery Rock. So I was a history major whenever I was at Slippery Rock, and we had studied World War II. And I was reminded of a story about the city of Korora, Japan. And so in the city of Korora, Japan was a relatively major city, and at the time it was seen as like a Japanese stronghold. And so the planes took off from Guam, and they were flying, and they were going to bomb the city of Korora. However, whenever they got closer and closer, there's this incredible cloud coverage, and the pilots couldn't see where they were going, and they really weren't sure where they were and where they were going to drop the bombs. And so then ultimately the pilots had decided that they were going to circle back around and that they were going to see it again, but again the cloud stayed. And so they ended up making the decision, like, okay, we'll just hold off and we'll come back another day. The incredible part of the story is that I forget exactly the length of time that kind of passed, but as they were going back through, they got an intelligence report that essentially what had happened was at the day that they had bombed, the previous day, the Japanese had moved a huge number, I'm talking like hundreds of American POWs into the city of Korora. They had moved them there, but they had no idea that they were there. And so the simple cloud coverage allowed the bombers to not bomb in that moment, but it had saved hundreds of Americans' lives. And so it kind of got me thinking of God's hand at work, and God's sovereignty in everything that's going on, and that although we may not see everything that God does, and then we may not be able to tangibly reach out and touch what God is doing in our lives, it is clear to us, though, that God is working. And Scripture is clear to us that God is omniscient. He knows all things, and He has plans for all things. And to me, I think that is so comforting and so encouraging during times like this, as we continue to struggle with the coronavirus, as we continue to struggle with racial injustice and social injustice and the different protests and the different movements and everything that's going on. Sometimes it's hard for us to see what God is doing, but as we put our faith and we put our trust in God, that He is the one that is in control. It is not the authorities, it is not the political leaders, it is not, believe it or not, us pastors, it is not us as individuals. We are not the ones that are in control of this world. God is in control of this world, and that God is moving, and God is active, and that God is continually working for all good things in our lives. Although we may not see it right now, or whether that's a day or a week, as we continue to put our trust, God has got this. God has got this, everything planned out, everything under control. And to me, that is so encouraging and so comforting to know. And so I just wanted to encourage all of you guys to continually place your faith and place your trust in God, that no matter what is going on in your life, whether it is good times, bad times, maybe somewhere in between, that if we continually seek God in all that we do, by studying His Word, by going to church, by talking with godly people, listening to Christian music, doing all of the right things to continually surround ourselves with the presence of God, and that we continually seek His face. If we do all of those things, we'll slowly start to see more and more how God is at work in our lives. And then we just need to continually seek those things. So be encouraged, folks. Continually seek God in all that you are doing. And if you are struggling, reach out to us. Reach out to myself, to Pastor Nick, to Pastor Pete, one of the elders, anybody that you need to reach out and to talk to, folks. Just continue to do so. We are here for you, and that we are here to pray with you. We are here to do whatever we need to do to get you back closer to God. So continually place your faith, continually place your trust solely in God, folks. And so thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this message is an encouragement to you. God bless.